Oh my god, what the fuck is going on?
Is there a concern that Slasher Man could push the already unstable over the edge?
Hello. My name is Stephen, and with me this week is Sharon.
Hi, guys.
And on this episode of the Movie Club, we are discussing Jay Baruchel's 2020 horror film titled Random Acts of Violence. The premise is a masked maniac uses a comic book killer for inspiration. That's the premise. It's a Shudder exclusive. And I'm going to say this right off the bat. The Shudder exclusive did not. It didn't. Yeah, I know. I see shock share, and this Shudder exclusive did not hit me in the same way that host did. And if you haven't listened to that podcast, you should listen to it. I was expecting more out of this. Knowing that the director is Jay Baruchel. He is a comedic actor. He's in things that I love, like This Is the End. And then he's in the show called Man vs. World, I think it is. It doesn't matter. But yeah, we're
here to talk movies, not TV shows.
Right, that's true. And he directed one other movie before this, which is Goon: Last Enforcers. It's a sequel to it's a hockey movie. And of course, and he voices Hiccup in How to Train Your Dragon. Yeah, I know. Just think about that. Like the guy that voices Hiccup, the main character in How to Train Your Dragon, directed this slasher movie.
That's so hard to picture in my head.
I know. Can you imagine him one day and just leaving the booth from animated for the voiceover of How to Train Your Dragon, and then going home and then doing the storyboards for this movie? It seems.
Talk about one hell of a 180.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh gosh.
Did you have any initial thoughts? I've been talking.
Well, I didn't know that he voiced that character, so now I'm just shook as a whole. But like we were talking before we started recording, I was really surprised to see the director was actually an actor in the movie. I love it when directors do that kind of thing. Yeah. Not a whole lot of directors do that now, if I remember that correctly.
It's
Spike Lee did it, Wes Craven did it,
Ben Affleck does
and
it.
those are the only ones I can think of that
Bradley
did it.
Cooper did it. Clint Eastwood
true.
Doesn't do it anymore. He was a big actor, and then now he just directs. Jordan Peele.
I just love those little cameos, those little nuggets.
I think it's interesting because it's like if actors do it, they recently they have a bigger role in it. Mm-hmm. It's but Jay in this movie plays Ezra. He's very much a side character. He's not the main people in this movie are the couple.
Yes.
And he's not part of the couple, which is I wonder why he wrote himself, or why he thought the role was right for him to do instead of another actor. I think that'd be interesting to find out.
What if nobody else wanted that role? So he was just like, well, I can assume it.
Maybe.
Go in with my comedic sideline type self, because that role was slightly comedic in a way.
Yeah, I was expecting him to be more comedic than he was, and I'm glad he didn't go full comedic relief, because that would have been
really bad really quick.
Yeah, it wouldn't have fit the movie. Well, for me, the movie acted like it was going to be kind of self-aware, and it had something to say about art influencing real life violence. They say like rock and roll back in the day. They were like, oh my God, that's like satanic and like Charles Manson and stuff.
Yeah.
And then they were like video games, Columbine, they're connected and stuff like that. And I thought this movie was going to have something to say about that, but it really, and it seems like it does at the beginning. There's like a heavy-handed like monologue, and then the ending I think is like very like it's very much like the beginning, where it's just like a heavy-handed monologue, and it just, for me, the ending and what this movie started out with like the monologue, I was like, okay, this movie has something to say, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then like getting to the end, it acts like it said something, like it acts like the movie said something, but it didn't. So I was just like, it didn't feel earned to me. It just felt like flat and felt empty, or like I felt like if I got something, got the meaning that Jay was trying to put out there and like make me feel and make me think about, then yeah, I would have felt okay, and I would have liked it, but it felt flat for me.
And that's understandable. I thought of the movie more so from like the psychological perspective, personally, kind of like man versus like the inner monologue that was going on in his head, especially there towards the end. Not so much could be said for that towards the beginning, so I'll talk more about that part later on. But I feel like it's definitely more psychological in the pull that I feel that the director was trying to get us to see. Not so much that the movie itself had like some big like outright thing to say, but it was definitely more of a psychological tinged message.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I don't see that, because I feel like for me, I think that if he meant to do something like that, he would have dived into the killer more. And like the only part that he really dived into the killer and like what they were thinking was the ending. And like I said, it didn't really hit home for me.
So with that, I would like to remind you of the lead lady couple person character. Her line where she says that she's tired of only seeing the killer's perspective and not the perspective of the victims.
So you think that this movie was trying to be that? Trying to be from like okay. Maybe. I see your point. I do see your point.
Like that wasn't the exact line she said, but that's the gist of what I remember for it.
No, that's basically what she said. That's interesting. I didn't think about it like that. Also,
for our audience, I am currently on a steroid, so my brain is taking very weird segues in my thought processes.
Well, I'll
so if that's not what you guys think, it's totally fine.
I'll try to guide this whole thing, and I mean, and that's something that I didn't think of. So I mean, your steroid brain is pumping in that in the area of finding meaning in this movie. I think the best part of this movie for me, while watching it, was the cinematography and the kills.
The kills were very well shot.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah,
for it being like a very not like your typical slasher gore thing, like where you actually see all the carnage, right? But rather you see like the ending poses. Yeah, and everything. I thought that was really interesting.
The cinematographer, he did another movie I watched during quarantine, which I'm really glad I watched, called Possessor. It is very much like this movie. It's very stylized in its lighting. And this movie does some like comic book pages kind of thing. And that's
which were breathtaking to look at, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's good. And like I really like that. That's obviously stylized, but then even outside of that, it is stylized. And I think maybe they were trying to say something about like, maybe it goes to what you were saying about like they are the victims in this like comic book issue, and it's following them or something like that. Maybe that's what they were trying to say with that. He also did a couple episodes of Hannibal, which some of the poses and kills in this reminded me
Oh,
of
that's
Hannibal.
right.
But I kind of thought it was interesting that the like production designer, the like art, none of the art people from Hannibal were in this, but there was one specific kill that I will get into in the spoiler section. Involves three people. I'll just say that. Involves three people. That image right there, that reminded me of Hannibal a lot.
Okay.
Have you seen Hannibal, the show?
I have.
Okay, yeah.
Like, it just took me a minute to like think back to it. I'm like, holy crap, you're right.
Yeah. But yeah, this movie, it looks good, and like the kills look good, and they're done well. They're directed well, but yeah, and as a whole, it didn't really work for me. I think that really boils down to the script for me, because like there's some things, it's like it seems like the movie's going to be subversive kind of, or like subvert your expectations and do some things. It's like I said, kind of like self-aware, because it's trying to say this broader thing about violence in real life and art, but it kind of falls back into some horror movie cliches for me in some parts that were really like glaring, that I couldn't get my mind out of. And I'll get more detailed into that in the spoiler section. Did you have anything else you want to say about it?
Honestly, I was just glad to see our boy from Grey's Anatomy in another horror movie.
Jesse Williams, man,
I did not anticipate seeing him in another horror movie. I was very well pleased. He played this role really well, in my opinion.
Yeah, all of the acting.
Like, he did great.
All of the acting in this, I can't say any. I was gonna say I can't say really any negatives about the acting, but I feel like with the killer, the slasher, I feel like
like the killer could have done a little bit better with him, but
yeah, but that's,
I mean, considering we don't see much of him until like the very end.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's not too much you can do with a supposedly developed character at the end.
Yeah.
So
I think that was my problem with the acting, and then the ending and what it was trying to say. All right, cool. Let's get into spoilers. The stabbing in the car. Oh my gosh. That was absolutely brutal. It is so brutal. Man,
that was one of the scenes I had to rewatch, because I was like, what just happened? Who are these people?
Oh my gosh. Just seeing that guy, just the camera just stays right there. The knife just keeps going in and in and in. Oh my God. But then there's another, I just remembered this other part. At the end, where the slasher kills the mom, that, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but it was like the special effects team and the props team didn't show up that day, because the knife looks so fake in the way that it lit. Did. And then like it like doesn't even like go into her head. It's like it looks extremely fake. And like
they were taking their 5-minute break that day.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was like, what is going on? It's like the blood that was coming out, that looked fine. But like the knife and like the knife looked completely fake. And the connection was just horrible. There was no connection. It looked, I don't know. It looked like there was supposed to be a cut to a different angle to sell it or something. And it's like from behind. They
might have missed that in post.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe check he was like, all right, and let's go to the shot from behind. And he's like, oh, we didn't get that? Crap. I guess
he's like, we'll just speed it up a little and we'll hope that nobody else notices.
Yeah, I couldn't get over that. I was like, I had to pause. I was like, what? That I want to put a screenshot of that frame in the video, in the YouTube video. I didn't like the part where it's like where him as a kid, his mom was getting killed, but he was like, "Oh my god, I gotta hurry up and finish this picture." I was like, "What is going on?" I was like, "That doesn't make any sense." And then
That could totally be a psychological thing. Like his
Maybe.
body, like his brain was trying to like, what's the word? Kind of like repress. So he was working through that repression. And in his brain, he's like, I have to finish this drawing. This drawing will make a difference.
Maybe.
That's definitely a psychological angle. And that's probably, those little cutscenes are probably the reason my brain thought purely psychological.
Okay, I see that. And I guess it's like it was the scene where the whole gang in the car, the comic book gang, they see the family getting killed, and they just like don't do anything. They just stand there. They just sit there and scream. They don't try to run
Well, what
over.
could they do?
Run the killer over or something, or drive away.
The way in which that, well, they did try to drive away, but they were also trying to call 911.
After it was too late.
They were getting shot at.
They waited until they got shot at. They witnessed 3 or 4 people in that family, in that car, die. And they were like screaming at them the entire time with their windows rolled up, to like run and whatever. And then like they saw that they had a gun, and they're like, "Oh my god, he shot the kid!" And I'm like, "Oh my god!" But then I was like, "Why aren't you doing anything?" There's like Ezra J, the director's character, was just like, "Oh my god, no, they shot the kid." And I was like, what is this colored commentary of y'all actively watching 3 people, a whole family, get murdered, and you guys just aren't doing anything besides just... That really frustrated me. And I think, yeah, it's just like with the whole opening monologue, it seemed like it had something to say, and like it was going to be some kind of like important movie. It seemed very like self-important to me. Like Dre wrote this and was like, "Oh my god, this is gonna like change the horror genre," and then it just like didn't. Like with the ending in the beginning, like seemed like very like self-important.
One thing I did think was really interesting is how Todd's character, played by Jesse, thought that the numbers being read off were Bible verses. And then he like happens to have like that moment where he looks back at the back seat and he was like, issue numbers, comic book, first year, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, part of me almost wished that there was more of like a biblical angle, since they had that be so prevalent at first.
Yeah, because
maybe like there could have been like a dual tie-in to it or something that he didn't even realize.
Right. I think that would have been interesting. I think that would have been way better, because it kind of just seems like he just so happens to think that it's biblical, but like he doesn't. There's no reason in his character.
There was no rhyme or reason for that.
Right. It was just like, oh, I guess.
Unless you think of that cut scene where he was in like what I assume is a church.
Yeah. With
the choir singing at the end.
Yeah, but there was something. Like that was one part of the cutscene.
One part of the whole movie.
Right, and one part of the movie, and it's like that didn't seem like it. Like I don't know.
It didn't have anything to play through for it.
Right, and if it was maybe if it was like there were crosses all over the house, and like the mom was like wasn't just like in the church choir, but she had like a bigger role to play in the church, then I would see that. But like he was just like, oh yep, it's definitely Bible verses, and then like.
Then something just changes in his brain synapses and he's like, it's my comic books. And it's like, I'm sorry, but like in the beginning, wouldn't you just assume it was because of your comic books? Because your comic books were based on something real?
Yeah, exactly. And I
don't understand.
I think you're exactly right. And yeah, I feel like that's another thing. And I'm just like, what kind of angle was he trying to do? Was it something that they cut out, or like what? I feel like I'm missing something.
I still feel like it's mostly some sort of psychological angle, but I definitely agree with you that there's an element that's just missing to keep it from being fully there and faceted.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that I don't know. Maybe I should watch this again, but I don't
Maybe
know.
it's owed that rewatch that Ice mentioned.
Maybe because you're making me think of it from a different angle. But then also, there's just I don't know. I feel like I gave it its chance, and it just it disappointed me. And then I don't know. There's not enough there for me to go back and watch it again, unless it's from like a technical aspect of like watching it for the cinematography or something like that. Because like I said, the movie was like absolutely gorgeous, and if you liked that, then you should check out Possessor, which is like the sci-fi horror thriller that came out this year. It's very weird, but I would recommend it. God, I just wish this movie would have done something more for me. And I can't say that I'm looking forward to what Jay Baruchel directs next or what he writes next, unless maybe he's not writing it. Then maybe, because like he assembled a great team of like actors and the cinematographer, art department, and it's like he did that well. So, but if he's writing the next one, I can't. Next movie he directs, I can't support that.
I feel like he took some elements from like other horror movies. And I think that's really been sticking in my brain a lot, because those scenes with the slasher killer dude getting out of that vehicle, it kind of had some like Jeeper Creepers vibes.
Yeah.
With like just the animosity in which he was driving. It just made me think of that movie.
Yeah. And you saying that just makes me think about like, just think about the shots in my head. Like what really is sticking with me is like the shots, like the shot of the killer getting out of the van, seeing those three kids standing in front of their car, and him just like pacing back and forth in front of the lights. That looked so good.
And then like hitting the car, hitting his car, and then hitting their car.
And I was just like, what is going on? Because at first, I mean, it's not really explained. It's not explained like he's looking for motivation or he's like trying to prove Tyler.
Why was their car
Todd's
unlocked?
I don't understand. that.
Like if you see a man fervently hitting his car, coming towards your car, I'm locking the doors if I'm not able to drive away.
Again, that's a horror movie kind of cliche where it's just like, oh, we need the characters to
in every horror movie I've ever seen, the people are smart enough to lock the door.
I've watched too many dumb horror movies recently. Like, I mean, horror movies where the characters are just complete idiots. To me, I know I was going to mention two of them. Haunt. I know you liked Haunt. And then The Ruins, which I watched like 2 nights ago. That was the character's so dumb in that, and it's like you said. You see this guy, he has a mask on. You said
like a welder's mask, not even like a regular horror movie mask, a welder's mask.
Right, and one of the characters mentions the mask, and then they get back into the car, and then they
don't lock the door.
They don't lock the doors, and also if you have a flat tire, you can still try to drive away with it. You're riding on the rim.
You won't get very far.
But you're getting far. You're getting further away from this man that's going to kill you, and just acting crazy. Oh my gosh.
That's true. I didn't think about them attempting to drive away. Their tire wasn't completely shot. They'd probably get like maybe a quarter mile down the road.
Yeah.
Before it got worse.
Something. And then they just ditch the car, run away together or separate directions, whatever.
Which again would play right into the hands of Jeepers Creepers. He could have chased them through the like cornfields or whatever.
Yes.
Channel your inner children of the corn or whatever the crap. I don't remember what was on the side of the road at that point, but I feel like it was like middle of nowhere farm or hay type crap.
I think it definitely was. I think it was. Yeah, it was like. It
was middle of nowhere, if nothing else.
Middle of nowhere farm, kind of. Yeah.
They could have found something to run into. It's fine.
Found something, or just ran. Like.
run away, separate a little bit. He won't be able to catch all three of you.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't have that much time in the movie to kill you guys.
Yeah, exactly. Which is probably why it was convenient
Why they
for them
didn't.
to leave the doors unlocked. And that's what I'm saying. It's stuff like that. And I'm just like, what? That doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. I'm just going to look at the Rotten Tomatoes. So on Rotten Tomatoes, the critic consensus is a 64%, and total is 55 people, critics that weighed in. Audience score 57% with 7 user ratings. And then on IMDb, it has a 5.0 out of 10 with a little less than 600 people that rated it. I don't know. I kind of want to give this like a 4 out of 10 because to me it's not. I can't. There's so much. I can't rewatch this movie because of how dumb the characters are, and some of the characters are at some point. But the movie looks so good. The cinematography is so good, and the kills, the tryptograph or whatever it was called, that looked so good. It looked straight out of Hannibal or something, or it looked not like Hannibal would actually do something like that, but it looked like it looked staged in a way that would, and yeah, I don't know. I think if I bump this up from a 4 out of 10 to a 5 out of 10, it will only be because of the cinematography and the kills. But really, I feel like I can't really justify bumping it up 1 point over that. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. What do you think?
Well, I'm still sticking to what I had put on my Letterboxd. I gave it a 4 out of 5 because, like I've said, like I got really hung up in like the psychological aspects. And I just think that gave me like a different lens to view it through, like a slightly deeper, darker context. For those of you who don't know me, I'm very dark and twisted. I love horror. Always have, always will.
This is why every movie that I think of, every time I watch a horror movie, I'm like, oh, I was like, every time recently I've been watching a horror movie, I was like, oh, Sharon and I could do an episode. Like all the episodes I'm thinking about, or all the movies I want to watch that I know that you want to watch, or I want to watch with you because I know I like them, but I want to see if you will like them, are horror movies. God, we should do an episode on the Babadook. No, that's
no. You're not doing this to me.
Oh my God, it's so good though. Anyway, Sharon, where can the people find you on the interwebs? Where you want them to find you?
You can find me on Letterboxd at Sleepy Sharon.
Find her on the Letterboxd at Sleepy Sharon. Find me on Letterboxd for right now at Cut to Black. Hopefully going to change that soon once I pay for it, but we've already discussed on one of our last episodes. I'm going to wait till Black Friday.
It's the smart thing to do.
It's a financially smart thing to do. Yes.
It really is.
Thank you guys for listening. Please come back next Wednesday for another episode of the Move Club podcast. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, wait. Oh, I forgot. And then wait, I said bye, but then, listen to Trey's going to do his little outro. So listen to that too. But that's me, and Sharon and I are signing off now. Bye.
And my note to Trey is fuck your ending.
He is going to kill us.
I can't wait to show you.
Who comes up with this stuff? Thank you for listening to the podcast. Make sure that you check out the other shows that we have on the Facebook, the other main podcast that comes out every other Tuesday. Make sure you leave a like, share it with your friends and your family. Go check out our YouTube where we have content from other Production 1200 works. And make sure you follow us on the Instagram. We post sometimes there. We'll do more. We'll try. Maybe. Like us on iTunes podcast, rate and review. Give us them 5 stars. And we'll see you next time.
That was perfect. That's the perfect ending. That's a perfect segue into Trey's, because I'm going to stop.
It's the last line of the movie.
Right, exactly. It's the last line of the movie, and then, but it's also, it's like, it's funny because it's a pre-recorded ending. It's like he doesn't know. He's not going to listen to it or anything. He's not going to listen to the podcast and then do the.
I just hope Shakis doesn't.